They say blood is thicker than water, but what happens when that blood slowly drowns you? I'm 32 years old, a VP at a Fortune 500 company, and last Thanksgiving, my parents made me eat at a card table in the hallway while my younger siblings sat at the dining room table. That was the moment I realized, sometimes the family you're born into isn't the family you're meant to keep. This is the story of how I finally stopped begging for a seat at a table that was never built for me. The November rain hammers against my windshield as I pull into my parents' driveway, already 40 minutes late to Thanksgiving dinner. My hands grip the steering wheel of my Tesla, knuckles white, as I practice my breathing exercises one more time. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Just like my therapist taught me. I check my reflection in the rearview mirror. Professional blazer, understated jewelry, hair pulled back in what my mother calls that severe bun. Everything calculated to project success, without threatening anyone's ego. It's exhausting, this constant calibration of my existence to fit into spaces that seem to shrink every year. The house glows with warm light, a picture-perfect colonial that could be straight from a holiday movie. Through the dining room window, I can see them all already seated. Mom at one end, Dad at the other, my younger brother James and sister Catherine in between with their spouses. The table gleams with grandmother's china, crystal glasses catching the chandelier light. I don't knock anymore. Haven't for years. The familiar smell of sage stuffing and apple pie hits me as I step inside, along with something else, that particular silence that falls when you're the topic of interrupted conversation. Oh, there she is, Mom calls from the dining room, not moving from her seat. We were just about to say grace without you. Traffic was horrible. I lie, hanging my coat in the hall closet. The truth is, I sat in the parking lot of a Starbucks for 20 minutes, trying to convince myself to come at all. I walk into the dining room, already apologizing for my lateness, when I stop cold. The dining table is full. Every seat taken. My eyes scan the room twice, certain I'm missing something. Oh, Morgan, Mom says, following my gaze. We've set you up in the sitting room. James and Patricia brought Patricia's parents this year, and well, you know how it is. The sitting room. I walk to the doorway and see it. A card table draped with a plastic tablecloth, a folding chair, and a paper plate. It's positioned perfectly to be both technically included and completely separate from the main gathering. You're kidding, I say, the words escaping before I can swallow them. Dad looks up from carving the turkey. Is there a problem? I stare at the card table, then back at my family. Patricia's parents, whom I've met exactly once at the wedding 2 years ago, sit comfortably at the table I've sat at for 32 years. No, I hear myself say. No problem at all. I take my exile seat, the folding chair creaking under my weight. From here, I can see them all in profile, like watching a play from the wings. Catherine laughs at something Patricia's father says. James refills wine glasses. Mom beams at her picture-perfect family tableau. Without me in it, the loneliness hits me like a physical blow. Not the loneliness of being alone. I live alone, work alone often, travel alone. That's solitude, and I've made peace with it. This is different. This is being alone while surrounded by people who are supposed to love you most. I pick at my turkey, served on a paper plate while 15 feet away, they dine on china. The metaphor is so heavy-handed it would be funny if it weren't my life. So Patricia's father was just telling us about their cruise to Alaska. Mom calls over me, as if I'm part of the conversation. Doesn't that sound wonderful? I nod, not trusting my voice. This is when it happens. The moment I'll look back on as the beginning of the end. Or perhaps the end of the beginning. Catherine turns to James and says, loud enough for everyone to hear, remember when we were kids and Morgan always insisted on eating in her room? Mom used to say she was too good for family dinner. The table laughs. It's a light laugh, the kind that comes with family stories worn smooth by repetition. Except that's not what happened. I ate in my room because they told me I asked too many questions, talked too much about my school projects, made dinner stressful with my presence. That's not, I start to say, but James cuts me off. Oh, Morgan and her memory. She always remembers things differently than everyone else. More laughter. Patricia's parents smile politely, not understanding they're witnessing a 3-decade pattern compressed into a single moment. I stand up. The chair scrapes against the hardwood floor, an ugly sound that cuts through their amusement. "Where are you going?" Mom asks, her voice sharp with embarrassment rather than concern. I don't answer. I walk to the closet, get my coat, and head for the door. "Morgan Elizabeth Chen, you get back here right now." Dad's voice booms behind me. I turn at the door, looking at them all frozen in their seats. "I'm 32 years old," I say quietly. "I run a division of 300 people. I've been featured in Forbes. And you have me eating alone at a card table like I'm 5 years old at the kids' table." "You're being dramatic," Catherine starts. "No." I cut her off. "I'm being honest. For once." The door closes behind me with a quiet click. No slam, no dramatic exit. Just a woman walking away from a table that never had room for her. The rain has turned to sleet, coating my car in a thin layer of ice. I sit in the driver's seat, engine running, waiting for the defroster to clear the windshield. My phone starts buzzing immediately. "Mom, this is ridiculous. Come back inside." "James, way to ruin Thanksgiving. Again." "Catherine, Mom's crying. Hope you're happy." I turn the phone face down and drive. No destination in mind, just away. The city streets are nearly empty, everyone tucked inside their homes with their families. Real families. Families that make room. I end up at a 24-hour diner on the outskirts of town, the kind of place with cracked vinyl booths and coffee that tastes like disappointment. The waitress, a woman about my mother's age with kind eyes and a name tag reading Dolores, doesn't comment on my designer clothes or the tears I'm pretending aren't there. "Coffee," she asks. "Please. And whatever pie you have." She brings me apple. Of course it's apple. The universe has a sense of humor, and slides into the booth across from me. "Thanksgiving refugee?" she asks. I nod, not trusting my voice. "Me too, honey. Been working every Thanksgiving for 15 years. Started so I wouldn't have to explain one more time why I wasn't married yet. Now I wouldn't go back if they begged me." She pats my hand. "Family's the people who make room for you at their table. Blood's just genetics." After she leaves to help another customer, I pull out my phone. 17 missed calls. 43 texts. The family group chat is in full meltdown mode. But there's one text from an unknown number. "Hi Morgan, this is Patricia. I'm so sorry about tonight. I didn't know about the seating arrangement until after you left. It wasn't right." I stare at the message. A stranger saw what my family refuses to acknowledge. I open my laptop, I always have it with me, a habit from years of being on call, and start writing. Not a work email or a presentation, but something else. A letter to myself, maybe. Or to them. Or to the universe. I write about every holiday spent on the periphery. Every achievement minimized. Every milestone that went uncelebrated because it didn't fit their narrow definition of success. I write about the Christmas when I made partner and Dad asked when I was going to settle down and start a real life. About the birthday dinner where they forgot to set a place for me and laughed it off as typical Morgan. So forgettable. The words pour out, years of swallowed hurt finally given voice. By the time I'm done, I've written 12 pages and the diner's morning shift is starting to arrive. "You okay, honey?" Dolores asks, refilling my coffee for the 5th time. "I think I'm about to be," I tell her. I leave a $100 tip and drive home to my condo downtown. It's not large, but it's mine. Every piece of furniture chosen by me, every wall color my decision. There are no family photos on display. I realize now that's not accident or oversight. It's self-preservation. I shower, change into comfortable clothes, and make myself a real breakfast. While the coffee brews, I block my family's numbers. Not forever, I tell myself. Just for now. Just long enough to remember who I am when I'm not trying to squeeze myself into spaces too small for my existence. My laptop sits open on the counter, those 12 pages of pain staring back at me. I read through them again, this time with editor's eyes. There's something here. Not just my story, but a universal truth about the price of belonging when belonging requires self-erasure. The city wakes up around me. Black Friday shoppers heading out for deals, families recovering from food comas. And me, alone in my kitchen, finally understanding that being alone by choice is infinitely better than being alone in a crowd of people who claim to love you. I make a decision. Not a dramatic one. Not fueled by anger or hurt. A quiet decision, the kind that changes everything without anyone noticing at first. I'm done. Done shrinking. Done apologizing. Done accepting crumbs and calling it a feast. My phone, still face down, buzzes with messages from the numbers I haven't blocked yet. Extended family, probably, recruited to talk sense into me. I leave it alone and open a new document on my laptop. Dear Morgan, I type. This is your Independence Day. The weeks that follow are study in family warfare, 21st century style. I keep my phone blocked for 3 days before curiosity gets the better of me. When I finally check, there are 127 missed calls and enough texts to fill a novel. The messages follow a predictable pattern. First, anger. You've lost your mind. Then guilt. Your mother hasn't stopped crying. Then threats. If you don't fix this by Christmas, don't bother coming. And finally, revisionist history. We don't understand why you're making such a big deal about a simple seating arrangement. But there are other messages too. My cousin Sarah, who I haven't talked to in years. Good for you. They did the same thing to me when I got divorced. I just wasn't brave enough to leave. My Aunt Rebecca, my father's sister. I've watched them do this to you for years. I should have said something. I'm sorry. And most surprisingly, a voicemail from my brother's wife, Patricia. Morgan, I need you to know that I didn't ask for your seat.
I'm horrified.
James told me you've always been difficult, but what I saw wasn't difficult. It was a family systematically excluding one of their own. I'm so sorry. I listened to Patricia's message 3 times. A stranger, because that's what she still is, really, saw in one evening what my family has denied for 3 decades. I throw myself into work, grateful for the distraction of year-end reports and strategic planning. My team notices something different about me. You seem lighter, my assistant Maria tells me. Like you've put down something heavy.
I have.
I've put down the weight of trying to earn love that should have been freely given. 2 weeks before Christmas, my father shows up at my office. Security calls up, uncertain. Richard Chen isn't on my approved visitor list. Send him up, I say, straightening my desk. Not for him, but for me. This is my territory. He looks older than I remember, slightly stooped in his expensive overcoat. He stands in my office doorway, taking in the floor-to-ceiling windows, the awards on the wall, the evidence of a success he's never acknowledged. Nice office, he says, which might be the first compliment he's ever given me about my career. Thank you. I don't offer him a seat. What can I do for you, Dad? He shifts uncomfortably. Your mother sent me. She wants you to come home for Christmas.
No.
The simple word hangs between us. I've never just said no to him before. Always explanations, justifications, apologies wrapped around my refusals. But not anymore. You can't just cut off your family, he says. I'm not cutting anyone off.
I'm establishing boundaries.
There's a difference. Boundaries. He says the word like it tastes bad. Is that what your therapist tells you?
No, Dad.
That's what self-respect tells me. We stare at each other across my desk. CEO to CEO, finally. The dynamic shift is palpable. What do you want, Morgan? He sounds genuinely puzzled. An apology?
Fine.
I'm sorry about Thanksgiving. I want you to understand why it happened. Not just Thanksgiving, but all of it. 32 years of being treated as less than because I didn't follow your predetermined path. That's not, he starts then stops. For the first time in my life, I see uncertainty in my father's eyes. We've always included you. You've allowed me to be present. That's not the same as including me. He sinks into the chair across from my desk without invitation. Your mother says Patricia told her she's not comfortable coming to Christmas if you're not there. Says it doesn't feel right, celebrating family while excluding family. I bite back a smile. Good for Patricia. So what, he continues. We all pretend Thanksgiving didn't happen.
No.
We acknowledge it happened, and we figure out why. And then we decide if we can move forward differently. He looks around my office again, really seeing it this time. You've done well for yourself. I have. Without any help from us. Without any help from you. I confirm. Something passes across his face. Regret, maybe, or just the discomfort of recognition. Your mother wants to meet, he says finally. All of us. To talk. I'll think about it. After he leaves, I sit in my office watching the city lights come alive. My reflection in the window shows a woman I'm still getting to know. Someone who stands straight, speaks clearly, takes up space without apology. The meeting happens at a neutral restaurant, my choice. I arrive early, choosing a round table. No head, no foot, just equals. They file in looking uncomfortable in this setting where they hold no home court advantage. Mama's clearly been crying. Her makeup can't quite hide the puffiness. Catherine won't meet my eyes. James looks angry. Patricia gives me a small, supportive smile. Before anyone says anything, I begin, pulling out a folder. I want to share something. I spread out photos across the table. Every family gathering for the past decade. Tell me what you see. They lean in, confused. Christmas 2019, I point. Where am I? Catherine peers at the photo. You're in the kitchen doorway. Because there wasn't room at the table. Thanksgiving 2020. The porch, James admits quietly. We put you on the porch with your laptop because Dad said your work call was disturbing dinner. Easter 2021? The kids' table, Mom whispers. I pull out more photos. Birthday dinners where I'm seated at the far end, barely in frame. Family vacations I wasn't invited to. Celebrations for James and Catherine while my promotions went unmentioned. I'm not trying to hurt you, I say. I'm trying to help you see the pattern. The silence stretches until Patricia breaks it. My God, we really did this. We really systematically excluded you. Mom starts to cry, real tears this time, not the performative ones I'm used to. I need you all to understand something. I continue. I love you, but I love myself too. And I won't accept less than equal treatment anymore. What does that mean? Catherine asks, finally looking at me. It means if you want me in your life, you make room for me. Real room. Not grudging space at the margins. And if we can't, James challenges. Then we'll have the relationship you've been giving me for years. Surface-level interactions at major life events. Your choice. Dad reaches across the table, stopping just short of my hand. What if we try? What if we do better? I look at them, my family, flawed and frustrating, and mine. Then we start over. But understand, I'll walk away again if I need to. I've done it once. I can do it again. Mom wipes her eyes. I didn't see it. Or I didn't want to see it. You were always so independent, so self-sufficient. It was easier to just let you handle everything alone. Being capable doesn't mean I don't need family, I tell her. It just means I learned to live without it. We talk for 3 hours. Not everything is resolved. Years of patterns don't change in one conversation. But it's a start. Christmas happens at my condo. My choice, my territory, my rules. The round dining table I bought seats everyone equally. No card tables, no kids' tables, no exile to other rooms. Patricia helps me cook, confiding that she's always felt like an outsider too. Catherine brings wine and an awkward but genuine compliment about my home. James asks about my work, really asks, not the dismissive small talk of before. It's not perfect. Dad still makes a comment about my biological clock. Mom questions my decision to buy rather than rent, since you'll probably move when you get married. Old habits die hard. But when Catherine's kids arrive, there's a moment that makes it all worthwhile. Where should the kids sit? Catherine asks. At the table, I say firmly. Everyone sits at the table. But they're messy. Everyone
Sits. At.
the table.
She gets it then.
I see it click in her eyes. This isn't about one Thanksgiving or one card table. This is about belonging, about being seen, about taking up space in your own family. We eat together, all of us, around one table. The kids are messy. Wine gets spilled. The conversation is sometimes stilted as we navigate this new dynamic. But we're all at the table. Later, as they're leaving, Mom hugs me. A real hug, not the performative air kiss she usually offers. "I'm sorry," she whispers, "for all of it." "I know," I tell her. "We'll figure it out." After they go, I stand in my quiet condo, looking at the dishes that need washing, the evidence of a messy, imperfect, real family dinner. My phone buzzes. Sarah, my cousin. "How did it go?" "We're all works in progress," I text back. "Proud of you," she responds, "for demanding better." I think about that card table, the paper plate, the folding chair. Such small indignities that added up to a lifetime of feeling less than. I think about 32 years of accepting crumbs and calling it love. Then I think about tonight. The round table. Everyone included. The beginning of something better, maybe. Change doesn't happen overnight. There will be setbacks, old patterns trying to reassert themselves. But I've learned something valuable. You teach people how to treat you. And I'm finally teaching them that I matter. If this story resonated with you, you're not alone. Millions of us struggle with family dynamics that make us feel unseen, unheard, or unworthy. Your experience matters. Your feelings are valid. And yes, you deserve a seat at the table, a real seat, not a consolation prize. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it today. Sometimes knowing we're not alone is the first step toward demanding better. Hit that like button if you've ever felt excluded by the people who should love you most. Subscribe for more stories about finding your voice, setting boundaries, and choosing yourself. Remember, you can love your family and love yourself enough to demand respect. They're not mutually exclusive. Drop a comment below. What's your card table moment? When did you realize you deserved better? Let's build a community of people who refuse to accept less than they deserve. Because everyone deserves a seat at the table.